So yeah, welcome everyone to our webinar. Welcome to one of the biggest releases that we Runecast have, and the biggest release that we have this year. Yeah, we were keeping this for Christmas as a present. So yeah, we're happy. We have the opportunity to also release it when one of the biggest vulnerabilities ever is was disclosed, and yeah, it's really burning down the internet now. So it's a really great timing. We didn't plan for that, but it's a good timing. So yeah, we'll cover both these topics in detail during this webinar. I will just share the screen and the presentation. I will just start quickly with a couple of slides, just presenting the context, and then I'll pass it over to my colleague Tomasz for the demo. So I'm just sharing the screen now. I hope you all can see it. Tomasz, can you please quickly confirm that you can see the screen? Yeah, all right. Yeah, so let's dive into it. We'll be talking about the biggest release that we have this year, analytics for Windows and Linux. I see from the attendance list, like also many names that are familiar from our partners, prospects, customers, and also many new names there. So yeah, I'm happy to see this interest, and happy that we can contribute to securing your environments and keeping the lights on. We'll be also talking about the Log4j Log4Shell vulnerability. Of course, we're not planning to do so when we initially prepared the slides a couple of days ago, but yeah, I think this is really, really important, and we'll be covering that as well. So let me start with quick intros about ourselves, about the speakers in this webinar. So I'll start with Tomasz Odehnal, my colleague who is senior systems engineer at Runecast, and is mostly focused on Kubernetes and automation. He worked previously for a really big retailer on securing and supporting their pretty big production Kubernetes environment, and also like the Windows servers and applications running in that. He's a biker, both motorcycle and cycling. So yeah, that's mostly what he does outside work. I'm one of the co-founders and the CTO of Runecast. I'm a techie. I'm an engineer. I have some VMware and Microsoft, IBM background, and yeah, I'm a 8-time vExpert. Yeah, I really like getting hands-on and working with technology, but I also enjoy quite a lot working with our growing engineering team in Runecast, which started with like 3 actually engineers, and now we are at around 25 plus engineers already. So yeah, that's really great. I'm also a biker. I enjoy mountain biking myself and mushroom hunting. But yeah, let's dive into what we'll be covering. So allow me to just have a quick summary and recap of Runecast Analyzer. For those of you who are not very familiar with what Runecast Analyzer is and does. So we have a proactive hybrid cloud management platform which uses AI-assisted knowledge parsing and the patented rules engine to expose risks before they cause outages and security issues. So to describe this in a better way, Runecast Analyzer can be deployed on your environment, on premises, either in the VMware, vSphere environment, or in the public cloud, AWS, Azure, or in Kubernetes. We have a Helm chart for that. And then it can be connected to these systems, to these environments, either to the vCenter or to the Kubernetes nodes, and also to AWS Azure environments. And also now, starting from today, from the 6.0 release, you can also include your Windows, Linux servers in that configuration of Runecast Analyzer, where we will be collecting the configuration and analyzing it and matching with different sources that you can see here on the left side of the diagram. Yeah, as I said, we have an AI knowledge parser, which we feed with data from different knowledge bases. So in the case of VMware, we are checking all the 30,000 plus VMware knowledge base articles, but also lots of best practice guides, regulatory compliance requirements. We are also translating those requirements into technical rules checks that the patented rules engine then can process and help you stay compliant. We're also checking all the vulnerability databases. So whenever a vulnerability is published, the parsers will crawl that, will process it, and then we'll be releasing it as a definitions update. The architecture of Runecast Analyzer is like very secure, mainly because you can run it in your environment on premises. So it is not a SaaS service, even though it can still be used in that kind of use case. But it's mainly an on-prem software that you install, and it's very secure because it doesn't send any of the configuration data that is being collected from your environment. It doesn't send that at all outside of your environment. So all data, all the analysis stays on your environment and is very secure. We are covering also from security compliance side, like most of the major compliance frameworks, like DISASTIG, NIST, PCI DSS, HIPAA, but even also some local or national frameworks like the BSI in Germany, or GDPR, of course, in Europe, Cyber Essentials in the UK, and so on. And we continuously add new frameworks that we cover. So that's currently a summary, let's say, of Runecast Analyzer. Tomasz in the demo will also show you briefly some of the functionality in the Runecast Analyzer. And now we are introducing Windows and Linux coverage. And I'll try to explain why we are doing that. So as I mentioned earlier, Runecast Analyzer can connect to the public cloud, to your vSphere environment, to Kubernetes, and check the infrastructure proactively. So we are doing a proactive configuration analysis and assessment, also covering security compliance and so on, all of that at the infrastructure level. We are also one of the leaders in CSPM space, especially for VMware and the public cloud. But still, many vulnerabilities are actually exploited, and a lot of malware is still present on the servers and endpoints. So even though at infrastructure level we are doing a great job at securing that, still we wanted to complete the circle of coverage and securing to also include the servers and endpoints. We're starting now in 6.0 with servers, but then we'll also move on into covering endpoints as well. So Windows 10 and any like Linux endpoints that can be a part of your environment. Also for the operating systems, it's actually very difficult and quite a lengthy effort to ensure compliance and visibility. So, for example, even checking for the most common set of requirements in terms of security and configuration best practices covered in the CIS framework. So the Center of Internet Security, where they provide a long list of recommendations on how to secure your environment. Going through that, it's like around 350 plus rules and checks, and different registry locations and settings that need to be assessed. So it's actually a very, very difficult process to ensure that the best practices are followed. So we are automating all of that, making it much, much easier and much more efficient to do it. Another reason for covering Windows Linux is that there is actually an increasing number of vulnerabilities discovered. These servers and endpoints are usually exposed as well to the internet, or might be exposed and accessible. So they are a prime target for hopefully white hat hackers, which are trying to discover and disclose vulnerabilities. But yeah, it's also a target for malicious activities as well. So we wanted also to leverage the existing components that we have in Runecast Analyzer, so our patented rules engine and also the AI-based parsers in order to cover Linux and Windows as well. And I'll then move on to how we're doing that. So we were looking on actually how to connect our rules engine to Windows, Linux servers and endpoints. And we had the option either to go with over the network, just pure SSH and WMI remotely, but actually that wouldn't cover a very deep analysis of the security and the configuration on the environment. So inevitably, for proper coverage, we wanted to leverage an agent, to have an agent that can actually be deployed on the environment and collect the data and assist in the analysis of the configuration. So we wanted that agent to be very secure, lightweight, so it doesn't interfere with the operations of the server. It doesn't consume too many resources, and it doesn't affect the performance and reliability of the system. And also that's something that is very easy to deploy. We chose to implement our own Runecast agent, which is based on OS Query. So OS Query is a solution developed initially by Facebook. They were using it internally to ensure security and compliance in the internal servers, but it has been released already for 7 years as an open source platform that is used for analytics and security assessments. It's also adopted by the Linux Foundation. It's production-ready Linux Foundation project, and it matches all of these requirements. So it's very secure. It can only process read-only requests, so it doesn't actually allow execution of any code or execution of any commands on the system. It's very lightweight as well, and it's extremely easy to deploy. So we configured OS Query and integrated OS Query with our patented rules engine. So once you deploy the Runecast Analyzer OS Query agent in the Windows or Linux environment, it will collect the configuration that is relevant for the policies that we have defined. It will then send that configuration over the network to Runecast Analyzer, where it will be analyzed, and the results will be available in the Runecast Analyzer UI, where you will have a single point of control and visibility into your VMware environment, public cloud, and also the OSs. So you can also cover the whole environment, not only at the infrastructure level, but also on operating systems and even application level. So that will help with covering vulnerability assessments and security compliance and hardening, and also configuration drift, because as you've seen in one of the earlier releases we had this year, we introduced configuration drift management. So for VMware and public cloud, you could see all the configuration in a very easy to consume way, and also analysis on any configuration drift, either historical, so on like time basis, or even ensuring that within a same set of objects, for example, a cluster, they are all configured in a similar manner and there are no deviations from the configuration. And of course, the full offline capabilities remain. So Runecast Analyzer and the agents are still fully on-prem. They don't need to communicate with any external third-party sources. It will not, the whole platform will not send any kind of information and data outside of your environment. And of course, since the whole internet is kind of on fire now, we need to talk about Log4j and Log4Shell and our response and coverage to that. So I'll just go quickly through what this vulnerability and exploit are. I'm sure most of you already know it. Most of you already probably even are working on mitigating it. But pretty much is a vulnerability that affects billions of devices out there using Java. And we know that according to Oracle, there are more than 3 billion devices out there. Most of them use an open source library called Log4j, which is handling the logging within the application, and it's actually a really great library. We're also using it in Runecast Analyzer, and many companies out there, including Apple, Tesla, are relying on Log4j library. But recently there was a vulnerability discovered that allows attackers through one of Log4j's functionality, which is relying on JNDI, an interface in Java that allows references to other classes. So it allows actually in a very simple way to gain remote access to a system using just a very simple string that can be pasted pretty much in either a login screen of a Java application, or even in Minecraft Java based, Minecraft can be exploited in that way just by putting that string in a chat during the game and gaining access to the system. You can read a lot more on the internet, and I think Twitter. There are many experts and engineers on Twitter which are sharing actually more details about this. Kevin Beaumont is one of them, which also came with this really nice logo for the Log4Shell exploit and vulnerability. So this vulnerability also affects VMware products. So vCenter, Horizon, vCloud Director are relying in some way also on Log4j library. And that makes the VMware products also vulnerable to this vulnerabilities. So it's important to patch. Currently, the patches are actually pending from VMware. We also cover that. We have it included in Runecast Analyzer. So we are covering this vulnerability. You can connect Runecast Analyzer to your vCenter, to your VMware vSphere environment, and you would be able to see which objects there are affected or vulnerable to this. Currently, the patches are still pending by VMware. We are keeping a very close eye on updates on that VMSA released by VMware. So whenever there will be any changes published or any patches published, we'll make sure to update our definitions of the rules and policies to be able to cover that. There are some workarounds for VMware that can be applied, and they are covered in the VMSA. So you will see it in Runecast Analyzer. We have a reference to the VMSA. You can explore more the workarounds that are recommended temporarily by VMware to be in place. This vulnerability does not affect directly the operating systems that we're covering now, but we also felt the need to actually really cover this with the release of Windows and Linux support, even though initially we were covering the operating system configuration, knowing that some Java applications installed and running in those operating systems can be exploited in this way, made us look for ways on how to actually cover this as well, and any other further vulnerabilities that will be critical will be covered very, very fast and very soon by us. We are working also in the meantime on our roadmap. We'll be covering more endpoint protection and malware protection functionality that will come with Runecast Analyzer. So for now, we are covering Log4Shell for Windows and Linux, and this affects all the Java applications that are using this Log4j library lower than version 2.16. So a patch is available for that. There are also some workarounds in place that can be used. Now I'll switch to Tomasz for a demo. He will cover also in details how Runecast Analyzer works, how the new functionality for Windows and Linux analysis works as well, and how the agent is deployed, results, and we'll also show the findings around Log4j vulnerability as well.
Okay, thank you, Erwin. switching the screen. So the demonstration is separated to two parts. One will show up how you can deploy the agents and enable the function and connect the agents to the Runecast analyzer. And the other part will be presenting. I will be presenting to you what can you see in the Runecast analyzer interface, what are the findings, and what is the benefit of scanning operating systems and seeing more details in the application. So for the first part, I have prepared empty or freshly deployed appliance, and also three Red Hat virtual machines and one Windows virtual machine. So we will see how we can activate the feature and how we can connect the agents to the appliance. So when the appliance is freshly deployed, you will connect to the interface. There will be a startup wizard. I will show you how you can configure it in the startup wizard. But there's of course another possibility which I will mention later. So when you first start the appliance, you will have the possibility to connect several system types. As I'm presenting you to OS analysis, I selected OS analysis. In this step, you will enter the address which will the agents use to reach out the Runecast analyzer instance. Probably it will be the same address that you are using to connect to the Runecast analyzer, but it might be different alias or whatever will make sense in your infrastructure. So here I will leave demo solar system, and on background the service which is communicating with the agents is turned on. And once it will be activated, we will then have the possibility of enabling security profiles that are available for OS analysis. Currently, it's CIS Profile, which we prepared completely with the initial release. But in the future, we will definitely add some more security profiles that the customers will demand. So I'm turning on CIS. And the last step of the wizard is to enable the automatic scheduler that will allow you to scan the infrastructure in recurring intervals, which is really recommended because you will know about all the changes that are happening. Okay, just a summary. So now we have OS analysis turned on, and this will demonstrate here in the settings page. This is also the second way how to turn it on. So if you have Runecast analyzer already deployed, you can simply go to settings and activate the connection here. The wizard will show different pages, but simply you will just enter the address. So once the OS analysis is enabled, you have the possibility to download the agents and install them to the endpoints you want to connect. So I will download agent for Windows, as we have one Windows machine to connect, and I will also download Linux RPM package because we want to connect Linux Red Hat. So before they get downloaded, I will connect to the WinDemo machine. Okay, so I will simply copy the package there. And this is one of the ways how to install it. this is manual way, and probably you won't use it in the infrastructure where there is more machines. But I'm showing up that it's possible to deploy it simply with like one by one. So here is the package, and what I need is PowerShell with administrative rights. Once I extract the package, I'll just enter the directory and run the install script. This installs the OS query on background and configure it with settings in Runecast Analyzer. This error that is shown here means that the service wasn't started. We have seen this several times, but wasn't able to like care of that yet. You just need to start the service, and that's it. So it looks like I didn't pray to demo gods enough, so we can see errors live. So now OS query is installed, configured to connect to Runecast Analyzer, and we should see it here connected. Okay, perfect. Demo gods. Okay, let's see. I will try to install it once again. Okay, let's skip the Windows part and try if we will be more successful with the Red Hat. So as I said, this is manual process, but in your infrastructure you would probably want to automate that. And as most of the companies already use some automating tool like Ansible, Terraform, or Microsoft System Center Configuration Manager, it's probably the best way how to deploy the agent. There is a chapter in the user guide that is describing this, and if you don't have these automation tools that I mentioned or any of them, we have two examples that might help you out when deploying the agents to multiple machines. So one example is deploying through group policy on Microsoft Active Directory, and the other possibility we mention here is Ansible, and I will demonstrate that. Besides the automation tools, there is of course the possibility to include the deployment in a virtual machine template, which will allow you to deploy the machines with already pre-configured OS query. The only thing is that you will need to delete the OS query database. So it's like one of the tasks that you do when you turn off the template. I mean, before you turn off the VM, that will be the template. So here is the Ansible playbook. So I will store it to my computer. And the other thing that is needed is the package that I downloaded. So we have the RPM package here, and now I can use Ansible to use the playbook and deploy the package to these Red Hat machines. Just check that the machine is accessible. Okay. So we can now use playbook. We want to deploy to these three machines. We will use user rcadmin, and we'll ask for password, and we'll also need sudo password, and that should be it. Okay. So now one of the steps is to copy and extract the installation package on the machines. Once it is done, the script for Red Hat will be called, and the package will be installed on the instances. Check how does it look now. Okay, now the Windows machine is present. Hopefully, yeah. So it just take a few seconds. Okay, so the package was installed to these 3 machines, and we should now see them appear here in Runecast Analyzer. Okay, so they are present. So as you can see, the installation it's based on scripts and can be pretty easily deployed either on Windows or on Linux machines. So that was the first part where I wanted to show you how we can deploy the agents. And now for the other part, where I have another appliance where some agents are already connected. We have already some data, so I can show you all the features that are available. So once there are some analysis done, you will see data that can be displayed in different sections of the Runecast Analyzer. In the dashboard part, there is overview on the whole operating system's infrastructure, and the issues that are found are sorted or grouped by severity, and you can also see the change in time with the number of vulnerabilities. Also, the issues divided into layers, and overall view on the profiles that are available. And in the lower part, there is history of findings when you can zoom to a specific time frame if you are interested in just, for example, 2-3 analyses. You can see like zoomed in view, and also you will see the history with of all of the analysis results. So now we want to dive into the details, so we can start with the vulnerabilities. Maybe I'll show you how the inventory looks, because this is a different demo. Here we have connected 5 Windows machines and 5 Red Hat machines. And today I also connected Kubernetes node. So I could demonstrate that one of the vulnerabilities that will be reported is Log4j. So when I go into details of vulnerabilities, you will be presented with the list of vulnerabilities, and you will quickly see how many of them are present on your machines. With every view where you see the list of vulnerabilities, there are filtering options, and they will allow you to filter the vulnerabilities based on the severity. Here we are with the critical, major, medium. Low is not present, so it's not in the list. So one of the types is severity. This is the layers that will allow you to focus on the layers of the findings. You can switch to different products, or you can focus on specific CVE, and also you can filter by type of result. So this can help you to find the right vulnerabilities that you want to care of, for example, in the upcoming days, and will quickly allow you to filter them out. So for example, we can filter the failed ones, and we can filter just those that are critical. When I check the details, for example, here, you will see the description of the vulnerability. That is basically the same information that is in the source database. In this case, it's Microsoft Security Research Center. And this link that is available in with every item will show you the source document. Okay, just so you know where we take the data. And this is the advantage, that you don't need to browse anywhere. All the data is available here. You will find the explanation of the issue and all the details that are needed. In the findings tab, you will see the findings of the vulnerabilities. So in this case, it's 3 Windows servers that have printers pulley service enabled, and this issue is in a certain version of the print puller service. So unless you update the machine or disable the print puller, so this will be reported. And that's for the vulnerabilities. Maybe I should show up the Log4j, what is the most interesting these days. So we are able to detect them on a Windows operating system, Linux, as Eileen said, also on vCenter, and with the current release, which we have now, it's also the Kubernetes nodes. So because Kubernetes nodes, it's mostly Linux machines, the agent can be installed there. And when you can install the agent, you can see the processes that are running in the containers, and you can easily see if there is any Java process that doesn't have the workaround applied. So we are using list of processes and identify them if it's Java process, and check if for the command line if there is the workaround. Also, if the command line shows up the Log4j library, we are able to distinguish if it's upgraded or if it's containing the bug. So this is how we can easily deploy the agents to the infrastructure and analyze now for this critical vulnerability. Besides vulnerabilities, Eileen also mentioned CIS Profile, which is pretty complex. And for Windows, it's more than 350 items. For Linux, it's 240 plus, I think. And with this profile, we help you to assess if your operating systems are compliant with the CIS rules. The CIS profile is divided into the sections. So same as the previous view, you can filter it out. You can quickly filter based on also the level that is part of the profile, and also based on the results. Can quickly see here, same as the vulnerabilities, we have always the description that in this case comes from the CIS, and also how the information is gathered from the operating system, or how you could do it manually. But we will do it automatically for you and present you with the findings. So with this issue, we can see, for example, that the operating system doesn't have this policy set, so doesn't comply with this specific rule in CIS. There are also some manual rules, because not everything can be checked manually, I mean automatically. So for these manual rules, there will be the possibility to answer the question and make the computer compliant by answering that the finding is not in the machine. So some of the checks are needed to be done manually, but most of them are automated. But that's for all the CIS profiles that we work with. Some of the checks basically cannot be analyzed. With each of the issues view, you have the possibility of exporting the data, so we can see, or you can have by hand the export and report of the data in a specific point in time. So that might come handy when you do this regularly for the CIS profile, so we can show up to the audit that this is the state in specific time and date, and that's how the infrastructure looks like. So that's basically about CIS compliance, and I will quickly show also the config vault, which is my favorite part, because that will make life easier for all system administrators. With every analysis that Runecast analyzer makes, it's saving something like snapshot of the infrastructure, which is now shown in the config vault. So with the analysis, there are some data that are collected, and you can quickly see what the operating system version is, what processor there is, how looks the hardware configuration, and so on. So one of the great features of config vault is that, for example, imagine you have a cluster of 5 machines, and you want to be sure that the cluster is configured consistently. So let's say this is my baseline machine. When I select it, I can quickly see there are some differences. So for example, this machine has different primary MAC address or primary IP address, which is expected. So I can quickly remove it from the comparison. And now we will see that all these 4 machines are the same, but this one is specific. So I can quickly see that the difference is it has additional mount point, and also there is different user created or user that is not present on the other nodes. So this is how we can quickly compare servers, and that will help you not only in clustering solutions, but basically with anything. I can see we are running out of time, so I will quickly show the historical drift, which is the other function that is available in config vault. So not only you can compare the machines between each other, but you can also compare them like with historic data. So for example, we have analysis from today's afternoon, and when I compare it, for example, to this date, I can see there is a change in the infrastructure. So these 5 servers were present, but one of them has a difference. So when I click the button, I can quickly see that there is a new application installed, and that might not be expected. So this is how we can quickly see the configuration drift in your infrastructure, and quickly analyze and see if there are any changes that are not expected. So I think that's in a quick way demonstration of the OS analysis with the Runecast analyzer functionality, and I will pass the word back to Eileen if there are any questions, or maybe.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much. Actually, there were many questions on the chat window, and yeah, myself and my colleagues were also like trying to go through that and answer. Mm-hmm. The last thing I wanted to mention before we wrap up, and about the chat and the questions, we'll also be going through the chat and coming back to you with an answer in case we missed to answer it live. So I will quickly share again my screen. So what we're also offering now is an assessment for these vulnerabilities. So if you go to our website, runecast.com, you will see the banner up top here, and yeah, fill in your contact details. We'll get back to you, and you can arrange an assessment for your environment, and we'll try to help you deploy Runecast Analyzer in your environment, deploy the agents, and also assess your readiness for the Log4j vulnerability across vSphere environment, Kubernetes as well, and also the Windows and Linux. And yeah, for Kubernetes, if the Runecast OS query agent is deployed on the node, it can also identify from the running containers. It can identify if there is potentially any vulnerable application or process running Log4j there. So yeah, we can guide you to that and work with you on deployment and assessment of your environment. So yeah, I still see that there are some questions there. So let me, for one more minute to cover that. So the licensing for desktops, licensing for all the like Windows, Linux operating systems, servers, or desktops, regardless, is covered as a subscription. So the license model is per billable asset, meaning deployed agent, pretty much. But yeah, contact our sales team, and of course we can discuss the licensing model also around desktops. As I said, we are covering mainly servers, but since the agent can be deployed, of course it can cover as well desktops. So ARM and Power are not supported. I see one more question there. So it's x86 platforms. Yeah, we are 3 minutes over time. I'd like to thank you all for the interest. Thanks for joining the webinar. Of course, this Log4j vulnerability is something really new, and many things are changing, and our engineering team is 24/7 checking all these changes and adjusting and adding new policies, new checks to that as they are being discovered and published. And also the OS coverage, Windows, Linux support that we have in 6.0. As I said, it's like the biggest release that we have. So yeah, we'll continue to improve on that. So expect good news coming soon as well, like continuously for like improvements for this. Thank you very much. And yeah, wish you all a great rest of the day or of the evening.
Thank you for attending. Bye-bye.
Bye.